If you have an important decision to make, do you default to asking people for advice? Or maybe you jump to Google the second that you need an answer to something and you want to know what other people have done in the same situation. If you're stuck on something and you need to make a decision but you don't know what to do, then you've probably already spent too much time weighing the pros and cons, and you might be feeling frustrated and overwhelmed. In my early 20s, I used to spend many sleepless nights wondering about what was to come. I would go on YouTube and watch astrology videos trying to predict what was going to happen in my life, and I would cling to my tarot cards, desperately wanting answers. And while those things were insightful and fun, none of it really helped me to trust my intuition. Things are changing so fast in the world, and more than ever, people are feeling uncertain. With how fast information travels and how quickly things are changing, a lot of people are not sure how to make decisions or what decisions to make. Now more than ever, it's really important for you to be able to listen and hear your intuition. As a clinical hypnotherapist, people come to me every day wanting support to make really big and important decisions in their lives, whether it's with their business, their relationships, or their health. And the very first thing that I help people do is reconnect with their own internal guidance system so that you can see how extraordinarily powerful you are inside and out. There's no greater feeling than being able to trust yourself. Whether your decisions that you have to make are big or small, being able to trust your intuition is absolutely essential. Subscribe and hit the bell button to be notified every time I post a video. So I'm going to give you a couple of steps to help guide you when you're trying to decipher how to trust your intuition. And then I'm going to tell you the most important thing that most people really overlook and don't really understand about your intuition. So the very first thing you want to pay attention to is when you feel resistance. So resistance in the form of tension, or the energy isn't totally open, you're not completely drawn towards something, you're kind of not sure, questioning yourself, getting into the overthinking. So when this starts to happen, this is a really important time. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to pump the brakes or say no or move away from the option. For example, somebody invites you to go out, maybe go out to a party, and you want to go, but you feel resistance. Like you're kind of like, well, you're overthinking it. It doesn't mean you don't want to at all go to the party, but it might mean that there's something for you to pay attention to or to negotiate or communicate, especially if you're learning about boundaries in your life. And so in this particular instance, it's not necessarily to say no to doing everything, but maybe it's, yes, I can come, but only for 2 hours because I want to be to bed earlier. And so resistance doesn't always mean no or stop or move away. Sometimes it just means pause and pay attention and listen to what are you needing. If part of you wants to do it, but part of you doesn't want to do it, you got to get the nuance of that. That being said, you can simply close your eyes and ask yourself a yes or a no question. Do I really want to go to the party? Is it going to be will going to the party be an opportunity to connect? Will going to the party drain my energy? Like if you ask yes or no questions, one at a time, close your eyes and just take a few breaths and notice if you're a visual person, maybe if you see a stop sign or a green light, or maybe it could just be a hand, or maybe it's you exhausted in bed. Like just pause, ask a yes or no question, and then take a few breaths and see what your mind reveals to you. Use your imagination. Just notice what symbolism or imagery, or you might even just get a very strong yes or no. So the first thing is to pause and actually give yourself the space to see what your mind comes up with. The next thing you can do if you're a more tactile person is to do the light or heavy test. If something feels light and energizing, you will know. If there's kind of a little bit of a sparkly light energy towards it and an excitement, then you'll be drawn towards it. You'll be magnetized towards it. If something feels heavy or dense or your body feels constricted, your body is communicating that to you for a reason. Notice if your body is open or if your body is closing down. And you can always go with your body's awareness if you're ever unsure. Fear has a sneaky way of disguising itself as intuition. And this is something I'm asked about often, is how do you tell the difference between fear and trying to avoid something out of fear or your intuition guiding you? And the best way to approach this is to actually just, when you have a big and important decision to make, sit down and write all of your fears about it going right, about it going wrong, about this option, that option. Just sit down and write all of your fears down. That way you can bring awareness to the ways that you try to protect yourself or the worries and the doubts that you have. And when you can see them on paper, it kind of just gets them out of your mind, shines a light on them. And then that way they have your attention and they don't have to run the show. This is the major work that I do in my sessions with people, which is to bring what is in the subconscious mind to the surface. And when we're able to see what's there, then you can understand yourself so much better. And when you understand yourself better, it's so much easier to make the right decision for you. Okay, the next thing I'm about to say is really important, because when people say trust your gut, what that means is your emotions. But if you've had trauma in the past, let's say, and your emotions are calibrated to fear and anxiety and trying to keep you safe, then it's not necessarily going to give you the highest outcome. It might short-term keep you safe, but it's not long-term going to necessarily take you where you're wanting to go. So trust your gut isn't always good advice. For example, this happens often when people need to have a tough conversation with someone. So if you grew up where you didn't see, your parents having tough conversations and confronting each other, and maybe they used to avoid things, or everyone just kind of avoided confrontation in order to keep the peace, then you will have in your body and your system to avoid confrontation. And so your body might react and not want to have, let's say you're in a relationship and there's an important conversation you need to have. Your body might default to closing off and, making you not go into that conversation because it might be scary and tough and emotional. And there might be anxiety that comes up for you. However, by having the conversation, in the long run, it will create more understanding and therefore more connection in your relationship. So there's a slight difference between trust your gut and follow your intuition. Your intuition is more coming from a clarity and from a higher perspective of understanding the full picture, whereas trust your gut is more of like a momentary emotional feeling that can get you out of danger, that can keep you safe. However, it's not always going to have the wide vantage point that your intuition has. Now, here's a really big misconception when it comes to following and trusting your intuition. You see, when you listen and follow your intuition, it doesn't mean that nothing bad will ever happen. In fact, it might take you straight into a situation where you're going to have the rug pulled out from under you, and you might fail at something, whether it's a job or a relationship. Sometimes we have to hit a rock bottom so that we can learn something new. This is absolutely not a requirement of growth. However, we learn really quickly from painful experiences. And sometimes the fastest way to get where you're going is to have a big major pattern interrupt and just to take the thing out of your life that's holding you back. And so it's not always pleasant. However, in the end, that's what's helping you to grow. And in the end, it will empower you and give you the freedom and the growth and the connection that is truly fulfilling. If you could just understand how powerful you are, the incredible power that you have inside of you, not how unpowerful you are, how powerful you truly are inside and out. What an incredible instrument you are. The whole body mind, your entire system, from spirit to the physical expression of who you really are. That every thought you think is a tool of creation. The story you tell becomes the life you live. This is one of the most powerful things I've ever learned in my entire life. And, sometimes we learn things and we read books and then we go on to the next thing, we go on to the next thing. This is the one constant in my life that has only deepened and deepened and deepened and come more to life, no matter what I read, no matter what wisdom I experience, no matter what I go through in my own life. The story you tell becomes the life you live. Every thought is a prayer. Every intention is made manifest. The only reason that a lot of people don't see this is because most of the thoughts you think are in your subconscious mind. There's like billions and billions and billions more information being processed in your subconscious mind. And so you might think on the surface, well, I'd like $1 million, but you have so many other thoughts in your subconscious mind that are going against that one thought of I want $1 million. Okay? And so this is why this work is so effective, because we make the unconscious conscious. And once you see what's there, you can get rid of the stuff you don't want, and you can use the thoughts that you do want. And this is such an incredible power to direct your life and to influence the world around you. And if you can get beyond your fear that what I said is actually true, every thought you think creates your reality, whether it's unconscious or conscious, then what you really have to contend with is the way you live your life and how you prioritize things and how you actually make decisions and where they're coming from. And if you really, really get that you are a powerful, creative being and that everyone else is too, you will access a certain kind of freedom, a deep level of fulfillment that completely sets you free without having to control things, without needing to know the answers, without having to be certain about everything that is to come. You might say that you want certainty and you want all of the answers, but I don't believe it. If you have certainty, there's no room for magic and inspiration and creativity and spontaneity, or for things to be better than you could possibly have imagined. Sometimes you can only know the next step, and the second step won't be revealed until you take the first step. And in my experience, there's a very good reason for that, because if you know too many steps ahead, your ego can get in the way and you can question things and you can doubt things, which just creates a lot of noise. So if you're present on your next honest step and you are taking that step and staying present all throughout the experience, you are going to learn more, you are going to move faster, and you are going to feel more fulfillment because you're living it now rather than mentally living in the next step. When you're so focused on all of the steps to come, you're not present, you'll doubt yourself, you'll even doubt the destination or even if it makes sense. But a lot of the most amazing things in my life do not make sense. Like, for example, when I look at how I met my most recent client at my birthday party, at a drag show, or how I met my last relationship just walking down the street, I never would have said that that makes logical sense or goes along with the common advice for attracting clients or relationships. You need uncertainty. We're biologically wired for evolution and expansion and growth. So how do you become something greater than yourself? You have to become unreasonable. If you can logically process every single piece of information to make a decision, that means all you're doing is repeating the past. You're taking things you already know, you've already experienced, and you're just repeating it. How can you have a new experience? You have to become unreasonable, which means following your intuition might not make sense, and it might not be your gut reaction to feel safe. If you're used to being in a safe comfort zone and you're going to do something new, it might create a gut reaction of, oh my gosh, I'm afraid of this new thing. I don't know if it's going to work. But trusting your intuition is a quieter voice, but it's clear. It's not full of fear. It's a clear wide vantage point. And to be honest, this is harder to understand if you're trying to get it right. I invite you to actually not try to get it right and instead go and enjoy your life. Go for a walk. Smell the flowers. Move your body. Put your feet on the earth. Be present in your life. Or go for a run and focus on breathing deeply. Or dance or sing. Just get out of your head. Do whatever you can. Get into your body. Get out of your head. And give yourself space. It's in that spaciousness that without the pressure, you can actually hear your intuition. I've said this in many of my videos because I spent 2 years with this mantra, if you will, and that is that infinite patience produces immediate results. Infinite patience produces immediate results. It's a bit of a paradox, but it's really, really powerful because when you are trying to get all of the answers right now, you're not really giving yourself space. And so by giving yourself the space, you have the energy and the spaciousness to receive new clarity, new information, new relationships, new opportunities. I promise you'll know what you need to do when it's time. It's easier to hear your inner guidance when you are relaxed and open. So even if that just means going for a walk, being present, and feeling the wind on your cheeks and the sun on your skin, just give yourself some space. And you can always ask your heart to guide you. Put your hands on your heart and know the story you tell becomes the life you live. If you set the intention for your heart to guide you, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and listen. Feel your heartbeat and listen. Or you can write. I love writing. I get so much clarity by writing. But the key is to start with the intention for your heart to guide you. If you want to learn how to quickly transform your story, come to thelivingnarrative.com. I just started doing monthly workshops on different topics for you to learn exactly how to transform your story. Because when you tell a beautiful story, you create a beautiful life. So we've got workshops on sex, relationships, self-expression, confidence, business, money, all kinds of different things. And if you have any requests, let me know. You can let me know in the comments or you can find me on Instagram. Just search The Living Narrative. You can find a link for the latest workshop in the description below. Here's a few more videos you might be interested in watching. Hit subscribe and the bell button if you'd like to be notified every time that I post a video. Also, you can get on my email list. The link will be in the description below. Thanks for watching. See you in the next episode.